Hello and good evening. I wanted to come on here and share with you something very interesting that happened to me today in our commercial real estate market here in Miami, Florida. So, this morning I had the honor of attending a presentation with one of the top brokers here in Miami. And one of the things that he was discussing is land. So, in real estate, obviously, we know that land and location is very, very important. And land is probably the most unique aspect of real estate that there is. And why is that? It's because you can take any house, okay? Think about the most extravagant architectural piece of structure that you can think of, okay? You can take that piece of architecture, that building, and you could put it in different parts of the world. So I know, as studying architecture and when I went to school, obviously, some of these cookie cutter neighborhoods and seeing all that stuff, that gets boring, and seeing all the same developments and all the same homes and everything else, that gets boring. But think about some extravagant buildings. Let's say, like, I don't want to take like the Eiffel Tower and pull it out of France, or I don't know, some of these other iconic buildings. Let's take, for example, the Empire State Building in New York, since a lot of people knows where that is. Or let's take one of the Petronas Towers in out in Singapore, or any one of these architectural masterpieces, or whatever you want to call it. You could literally take the Eiffel Tower, or the Chrysler Building, or the Prudential Tower in Boston, or the Sears Tower, and you could put it in another city, right? But the one thing that you can't do is that you can't take a waterfront lot in Miami, a waterfront lot in Los Angeles, a waterfront lot in what's this place in Italy or Sicily? I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But in the Mediterranean, something that's overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. You can't take that piece of land with that view, with the people that are there, with the culture that are there. I guess people and culture can move a little bit, but really with that location, you can't really take all of that and move it somewhere else. And that's why land is so unique, and it's so distinctively priced compared to everything else in real estate. And I think that was a huge aspect for me to really understand, because yes, Venice is beautiful. So again, that it's just very unique. You can't take that location. Buildings you can move around. So let's say you took what was the building that I mentioned? Let's say you took the CN Tower, for example. The CN Tower, and you put it in New York, or you put it in Houston, or you put it in Mumbai, or you put it in France, or you put it in Russia. That building is going to be the building, the architects that designed it, the engineers that designed it. Let's not get into details. I know the engineering, because of the soil, might be different, all that stuff, all that. But in essence, the building is the building. It's the location. That land is very unique. So as he was talking and as he was presenting, he kept on mentioning these unique things about land and things that are permitted and allowed to use and all the restrictions. But one of the things that was really interesting that I'd like to share with you is how the developers think about land and think about what they want to do. So one of the things that was really educational to me as a commercial real estate broker is understanding how the developers make a decision when they are thinking about investments. Now, commercial real estate is a little bit different than residential real estate, because typically in residential real estate, if you're buying a property, maybe you're buying it because you're relocating to that place. Maybe you have a growing family. So there's a much more personal reason that you're doing it, because you want to live in that neighborhood, or your kids are going to that school, or you want to retire, or you want to be close to that job. So it's much more personal, versus in commercial, it's a lot more financially driven, but at the same time, it's a lot more market driven. And at the end of the day, it's connected with the highest and best use and how the numbers connect to it. So, for example, typically what he was saying is that there's a usual order for commercial real estate. And the way that it starts is typically in larger urban core cities, the developers start off with a residential condominium and development. Why? It's because they can get the most amount of money out of that project. Think about it. They can build a building that has some sort of mixed use, right? First couple floors will be retail, office, etc., and then the rest will be residential living spaces with condominiums. Each one of those condominiums they could break up, they can sell them individually, and then they could, break up the offices, sell them individually, break up the retail, sell them individually, and then you have all of these maintenance for all these utilities, and then the whole building is operated. So they could buy the piece of land, develop that building, sell it in pieces, and then make whatever 3, 4 times, 5 times their money, or whatever the case is. And obviously they need to plan correctly based on the land, what can be done with the land, based on the challenges that are going to be with construction, and then based on the economy. Just because developments are such a long time frame, you might be 10 years from the point where you start negotiating a piece of land, getting all the contracts, getting it approved by the city, closing on that land, getting approval for the financing in order to start building, getting a ramp on your sales. So a 5 or a 10-year time frame might be huge. Then you have like hotel developments. So hotel developments are the kind of the next step, where again, because you have a hotel, you have a dollar value per room. You can kind of make projections, and then depending on what hotel you're going to put on there, if you get like the Hilton or some sort of other large brand, you could lease out that space, you could have them manage it, etc., etc. Then you have the office developments. Then you have the rental and multifamily developments, and finally you have the affordable multifamily development. And that's kind of the order where it proceeds. And the reason is because the more expensive land gets, it's less feasible, or it doesn't make sense for them to do a condominium development, because maybe they won't even break even on their money. So as he was talking about the land prices and some of the things that a lot of the developers look into is the pricing per door. So for example, as he was talking about downtown Miami, he said like from 2016 to 2019, just the price of the land for them to build the intensity of 1,000 units, okay, per acre. In 2019, it's 31,000. In 2017, it was 18,000. That's the cost of the land, okay? That's not including the cost of the project. So if they were to build, for example, in downtown Miami, 1,000 units, the cost of the land on average today is about 31,000. So that means an average lot in Miami is roughly $30 million to $60 million, depending on what you want to do. Obviously, the larger the lot, the more number of units. So again, just the lot is $30 million. So if you're going to build 1,000 condo units on there, the lot value of it is $30,000. Then the construction value, which is very high because we have the hurricane codes and we have other restrictions, might be another $150,000. So then your marketing value might be another 20, 30, 40. So maybe you're 200,000 per unit just built. And this is with very, very minimal contingencies. So for you to sell an average unit at 300,000 in the next 5 years, there's a lot of risk involved at that price point. So, and again, he mentioned other areas like Brickell and West Brickell, and they were upwards of $100,000 just for the land value, which means a typical condominium you would have to sell in Brickell. Currently, that's what it's selling for, 500, 600, 700,000. Otherwise, these developers are losing their money. And just understanding how the land impact is and everything that goes into it was very interesting and very educational from things that are happening here in Miami. So that's a little bit of information that I wanted to share with you regarding commercial real estate. We are, as I had mentioned, we have 2 projects currently in Aventura, which are office buildings for sale. Again, we have multiple offices there for sale. We're soon going to be starting to lease. So if you know anyone that is looking to be in the Aventura area, make sure you reach out to me and I could definitely get you more information. And just in general, commercial real estate in Miami, if you want any additional information regarding commercial or investment real estate in Miami, I would love to help you out. So this is Max. Hopefully this message has helped you. Ultimately, land in Miami has become very expensive. So if you're a developer in Miami, this might not be the best time for you to buy land and to redevelop. There might be some other opportunities where it's more advantageous for you to look into. Some existing buildings that might be better for redevelopment versus buying raw land. So that was my message for today. Hopefully this message has helped you understand where we are with land prices in Miami. Again, we're always going to different networking events and learning more about commercial real estate and learning more about what the developers are doing. Also, we're assisting our clients along with this process with their commercial real estate investment or their commercial real estate purchase. If you need any help, make sure you contact me. My direct cell phone number, 786-592-8102, or shoot me an instant message and I'll make sure to connect with you. Until next time, this is Max Cruz. Hopefully you have a great night.